Hello fellow coffee botherers. In this video I'm talking about coffee history. Actually I'm talking about a very specific bit of coffee history, and I'm talking about it because it seems like it's an almost forgotten piece of coffee history, and it surprised me and I found it interesting and I thought you might do too. This bit of coffee history I'm referring to, it's a time that coffee was banned in Italy. If you know a bit about coffee or about coffee history, you'll probably think I'm talking about very old history going back to the 16th century when the Catholic Church took its initial stance on coffee when it reached Italy. But no, I'm talking about a more recent coffee ban in Italy, and that is that coffee was banned in Italy during World War II. Did you know this? I didn't. Let me know in the comments below if you did. In fact, at the time of filming in May 2022, I can't find this information within coffee history articles on any of the most popular coffee-related websites. Even looking on more mainstream websites, such as Wikipedia, for example, I can't find anything about this specific ban on coffee. There's a big article on Wikipedia about the history of coffee and no mention of the fact that it was banned in Italy during World War II. And I discovered this little known fact thanks to this little book. This is a soldier's guide to Italy, which was given to both British and American soldiers during World War II. I spoke about this in this video about Americano when I was explaining that I was skeptical. Oops, I just broke it. I was skeptical about the fact that American GIs would have been basically acting like tourists in Italy during this period. The presence of this book, however, seemed to contradict that skepticism, as I read that this was published to promote tourism among soldiers that were being sent to Italy. I managed to get hold of this original copy that I've just broke because I couldn't find much about the contents of it, and now that I've read it, it doesn't actually seem to me that this was a main goal of this publication. Yes, there are paragraphs in this booklet that do seem to blur the lines between being a soldier involved in a war and being a tourist, such as if you can get to a performance at either the Scala Opera House in Milan or the Royal Opera House in Rome, do not miss the chance. But most of the content is very practical and useful information, including very strong warnings against avoiding venereal disease and avoiding spies. The main revelation from this booklet, though, for me, is a paragraph on page 12, which reads, "The cafe with its tables set in the open air during the hot months is a favourite meeting place, especially after the day's work, though you are unlikely to find any coffee there as it's been banned since the war." So coffee was banned in Italy during World War II. I don't know exactly when this ban started or when it ended because I can't find out much about it at all, but it was clearly banned there at the time that this book was published. This creates so many questions like, why was coffee banned? Why is there virtually nothing about this in articles about the history of coffee, history of espresso and so on? And why have so many people reported in the past that Americano comes from American soldiers ordering espresso with water at coffee shops during the Second World War, when there was no coffee in Italy during the Second World War, according to this book? In terms of why it was banned, I did some research on this, and the League of Nations enforced an embargo against Italy in 1935 when they invaded Ethiopia. Mussolini apparently reacted by strengthening his stance on Italy being completely self-sustaining, and many imports were banned, including coffee. So there was no coffee in Italy from the beginning of the Second World War. Well, not officially, certainly there wouldn't have been coffee being served in cafes, from what I can gather, while it was banned, at least. If you're a historian, or if you're not, but you just happen to know this, can you please let me know more about this? kev@coffeeblog.co.uk. I'd love to know more about it, including when the ban ended. And even once the ban ended, I wonder how long it took, given what obviously a difficult time it would have been for import and export, to get coffee back on the menu in coffee shops in Italy. I said in my video about Americano that I didn't believe the story that Cafe Americano has its roots in the Second World War, but this fact would appear to prove that, given that apparently the only coffee American soldiers were drinking in Italy during the Second World War was the coffee that they took with them. In fact, I've read stories about Italian youngsters getting their first taste of coffee thanks to American soldiers who took instant coffee over with them. So this little paragraph in this little book appears to turn the history of coffee during World War II on its head. But like I say, if anyone knows more, please let me know. As I said in that video, the story about Americano doesn't really make sense anyways. It implies that Italians didn't know anything about the drinking preferences of Americans prior to World War II, and they clearly did, as in named the cocktail Americano in the mid-1800s, which was a very popular drink among American tourists, hence the name. But anyway, I just wanted to share this revelation and my surprise that such a fact seems to have been almost forgotten. I mean, yeah, of course, there are much bigger things to have happened during the Second World War, but still, I'm surprised that coffee being banned in the birthplace of espresso isn't a much more commonly reported bit of history. While I'm here, I'll read a few bits of this book to you, as I think some of the information in it is amazing and I wanted to share it. This booklet is designed equally for American and British soldiers. Do not therefore be surprised if some parts do not altogether apply to you. To begin with, Americans are much more familiar with Italians than British are, so Italy will not seem quite such a strange country to them, while if you're an American of Italian origin, you will be sure of a warm welcome anywhere. Your assignment: you and your outfit have been ordered to invade and conquer an enemy country, Italy. That mission will take you or your comrades ultimately to all areas which are Italian owned or have been under Italian control. Much depends on how you conduct yourself there as a soldier and as a representative of the United Nations. Don't drive furiously. Don't drive furiously through narrow village streets, scattering pedestrians and livestock in all directions. Don't do that. Don't pick quarrels or make it appear that you despise anyone who isn't fortunate enough to be British or American. Don't demand your drinks in a loud voice and consider that since you've occupied the country, you have a right to be served before any civilian in that place. Such a different time. The fact that it's put pasta in quotation marks. Biscuits and cream ices are prohibited. Drink. While you may not be able to buy much to eat from the Italians except fruit, you're always likely to be offered a drink for sale. Italy is a big wine producing and wine drinking country. Wine taking the place of beer, coffee and tea. Many of the wines are good, but local products are often tricky and stronger than they taste. They will upset your stomach and go to your legs as well as your head unless you know when to stop. Strange as it may perhaps seem to you, in a country where good wine was cheap and plentiful, the Italian was always a moderate drinker. Drunkenness is comparatively rare, and a drunken man is an object of scorn. Traffic keeps to the right of the road, as in the United States. That's the wrong side, isn't it? Family and women. And within this bit it says, the main thing to remember is that a respectable unmarried girl does not walk out with a man unless they've gone through all the formalities of getting engaged. If a girl breaks this rule, she runs the risk of losing her reputation and her chances of getting married. This is naturally resented by members of her family who may also take offence at the most harmless approaches on your part. Don't therefore think that you're going to find it easy to pick up a respectable girl in Italy without running the risk of a first-rate row. And remember that a number of Germans came to an untimely end through trying. Blimey. There are many warm-looking, attractive women in Italy. The conditions of the war are certain to have increased the number of easy women on the street. But all that's been said about the dangers of fraternisation applies with special emphasis to consorting with a pickup anywhere in Italy. You are in enemy country. Thousands of our active enemies will remain undetected among the population. It is notorious that women of the type discussed in this paragraph are in better position to work themselves into a soldier's confidence, ply him with liquor and drain him of valuable information than any other kind of enemy agent. This kind of thing happens not only on the Hollywood screen but in real warfare. The type of woman who approaches you on the street in Italy and says, "Please give me a cigarette," isn't looking for a smoke. Yet that first touch may lead to major indiscretions that will endanger many of your comrades and bring a final disgrace upon your own head. Nice little photo there of Florence. On map, some useful words and phrases. And there's a bit of writing here in pencil. Obviously, I've no idea when that was written. Information about each major city and the population. So Naples had a population of 930,000 at the time. Milan, 1.225 million. Venice, 290,000. The Italian has become immune from many diseases which the Allied soldiers are likely to contract. And it lists some of them: malaria, sandfly fever, dysentery, Malta fever, typhus. And the amazing thing is, reading this, it's not all that long ago. When you think about it, it just tells you what a completely different world it was. Interesting. So there you go, a bit of almost lost coffee history, which I found really interesting, and I hope you did too. Thank you very much for watching, and if you did find this interesting, please don't forget to click the like button. Thanks. As this booklet says, someone who doesn't click the like button is an object of scorn, and once you've stepped over the line and not clicked the like button, there's no other way to safeguard the reputation of your organisation. Alright, I'm paraphrasing, but click the like button anyway. Cheers! And if you've enjoyed this video, then why not click here to watch another one? And to become an official coffee botherer, you need to click this image around here somewhere of my face to subscribe. Tatty bye!